This will show you right here that you don't have to have a huge stiff rod and even all the right lures and all that stuff to catch different species. I catch so many different things on this little jig, and this guy came in. Oh my gosh, am I gonna get on? Oh my gosh. Hey there folks, thanks again for joining me on episode 2 of The Ordinary Fisherman. Just once again getting ready for a fishing adventure out on the ice. It's a day where, again, we're in self-isolation with the corona going on, and we're entering week 2. You know, work for me has slowed down, and so I'm able to get out a little bit more. I have a buddy that's going to join me today. He's also a business guy in the finance world, and so I plan to meet with him on the ice and talk a little finances. But I'm also going to video a little bit of it because I realized in the first episode when I was editing that there's a lot of wind, and a lot of stuff that I talked about just I couldn't get because the wind kind of drowned everything out. Today's calmer. I want to touch a little bit on equipment today and just share a little bit about how I got some of the equipment. Like you, I'm on a budget and I can't buy everything all at once. And so, you know, I could help you sift through what kind of things are important to get and what aren't. And we'll do the ice fishing version today. But we'll mix in catching fish. We're going to a even closer lake than we went last time. And this lake has decent bluegills and crappies. Probably not going to get the amount I got last time, but should be better size. I am optimistic we'll catch a largemouth bass or two in the mix. They are not open. It is March. We're in Minnesota. They are closed. We're not targeting them, but you can't stop them from biting either, and they're intermixed with all these panfish that we're going to be chasing today. So we'll see what happens. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'll finish loading up my truck, which is almost loaded anyway, and we'll catch you on the ice. All right, so I got my sled packed here, so I'm getting ready to go out on the lake. Just want to take a minute and talk about the lake. It's just your classic 150, 180 acre lake with a main basin, just one main basin. This one is deep. This one gets, for a small lake, 50 feet. We're going to be on the north side of the lake. Just a general kind of rule this time of year, that water tends to be 1 to 2 degrees warmer than the south end of the lake because it gets a little more sun. Full disclosure, last week I scouted out a spot because I wanted to be sure I was on a spot that I felt good about with my friend to fish. So I'm pretty confident if we don't catch anything today, it's going to be on me. But yeah, we're going to go back to that spot I have marked. A couple holes I could reopen, and I might drill around a little bit. I'm here early enough to get everything set up before he comes. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So I'm just gonna walk out here on the short access snowmobile trail. This doesn't have a boat ramp, a public boat ramp access. This is just a walk-in. Ice should still be good, but of course, as always, we'll be careful. Always know your lakes. Always make sure you know what you're going out on, if they have springs, if they have inlets, outlets. Any moving water at all is a higher danger of potential problems with ice. Ice is always a danger, but you're gonna mitigate your risk, so to speak, on a lake that you're really familiar with. So, that said, let's head out and we'll start getting ready. So I just want to take a minute to talk about some of the equipment I use. I've been mentioning already about how I'm on a budget like the rest of you are, and just wanted to give a quick story and idea of how I got the equipment and where I'm at with it, because I didn't buy all of this stuff all at once. So I'll just start here. Most people I talk to who are looking to get into ice fishing or don't have a lot of equipment ask me what's the first thing they should buy. And outside of a rod, you do need a rod, of course, to be able to catch fish. There's 2 essential pieces of equipment that you'll need. Believe it or not, I would say look for a flasher first. Worst case scenario, you can always buy a hand auger and you don't have to spend a lot of money for that. But this is gonna cost you some money. So it doesn't have to be a flasher. It just needs to be a fish finder of some kind. There's really good electronic equipment nowadays where you don't necessarily need a flasher per se to see fish or anything under the ice. So certainly you can shop around and find something cheaper than a flasher and something that's more utility for winter and summer. I like the flashers a lot because they're just really durable. They can handle the cold. They're a really instant, there's no lag in the electronics, right? So my mark on the flashers is instant. The moment I move my lure, I see it here, right? There's no lag in it, and same with the fish. So that can sometimes help with the bite. But again, equipment's getting better with different style fish finders. That stuff is faster than what they used to be. But anyways, you can find a used Vexilar FL8 or one of these Markham M1s, their base models, for $200, $150 on Craigslist. If you find a used one out there and you look at it, and it looks in decent shape, snatch it. That's a decent price for a used model. I got this a few years ago, 2 years ago, I think, on sale at the end of the year for $230. It's the only new flasher I've ever bought. Just had saved up some money and was ready to get a newer model. I like to have multiple flashers because I fish with friends and family and stuff. And so over the years, I've just accumulated a few used models when I've had the money to be able to buy one. And so now I have a few of them. So anyways, this is one I like to use. It's a great model. The other one is the ice auger. So I don't know how well you can see, but this is the Strike Master electric auger, which I was able to get last year. I was blessed with gifts of money from family, and I was able to also sell a few things. And out of that budget, I walked into Mills Fleet and found the very last model sitting there for $450 when it was normally $600. And when I had about $800 saved up last year, I thought it was well worth spending half of that budget on it, and it has not let me down at all. This model has been awesome. I've drilled so many holes with it since last year and had zero problems. The only thing I would say is these lithium batteries are great, but you probably need to keep them warm when it gets really cold, say under 10-15 degrees. You probably want to keep them close to your body when you're not using them or in your ice house. An auger of some kind, you can get a power auger, a motor powered auger, brand new, starting in the low 200s. I've seen models be on sale for a little bit less sometimes, or you can certainly find them used on the Craigslist of the world for under $200. And again, look at the model, see how you feel about it, and if you're getting a $100 to $150 deal on one, maybe snatch it if you have the money. So I'll show you the two different jigging rods I use really quick. I got one that's kind of like a noodle style. So in another episode, I mentioned that I found this rod for $10 or $12, I think. And then I found this reel, which is the Eagle Claw inline reel, for $15 on sale. This inline reel is normally $25 to $30. If you can find it for $15, $20, snatch it if you can afford that. So that makes this combo, your $25 to $30 combo, which is a cheap combo ultimately for a decent rod. The other one is not a noodle rod. This is just be your classic ultralight. I really like using this rod for jigging because I just like how the fish feel when they fight on it. It's not necessarily the best for seeing a really light bite, but it's certainly good if you like to feel the fish really thump on your rod. But same thing, it's an Eagle Claw inline reel on that, and I really like it. So can't go without your bobber rig, I call it. I use just your classic open face reel for this. I think I got this combo for $25. Just not quite a medium light rod, so it's got a little stiffness to it. Still good for panfish, but can also handle a little bit bigger fish. So it's a good multi-purpose rod, which is how I fish. Mostly after panfish, but you never know what you're going to catch. So it's good to have a rod that can handle something bigger. You're going to get fishermen that will talk about what they like better, inline reel or an open face reel, and they're going to have their reasons for it. They're ultimately preferences. The main reason why I like using the inline reel is because it helps limit the twist in your line, so your lure isn't down there spinning around when you're jigging. The other thing is I don't know, it's so simple. It doesn't really get tangled as much, and I like it a lot. There's a couple different inline reels you might find, that are under $20. If you do find one of these Eagle Claws, again, snatch it. This is a 2:6-to-1 ratio. So one turn's gonna spin this thing a lot, which is great, especially if you're fishing deeper water. But you'll find also some reels out there that are 1-to-1, and those can be a little irritating just because it takes so long to turn them to get anything up. So see if you can find a better gear ratio than 1-to-1 if you're out there looking for one of those. Another piece of equipment I have that isn't a must, but certainly is nice, is a camera. Now, this camera, full disclosure, I did not buy. This was a gift from my father-in-law for Christmas a few years ago. It was a fantastic gift. Really grateful for it. It's an AquaView HD 7i Pro, which is a good model, a really good model actually. High def camera. It's been awesome for clear water. We have a lot of stained water, so there's certainly times that I can't use it because you can't really see that well. But the times I can use it, it's been fantastic, and it's awesome to watch fish come in and look at your lure, and then you know, work to get them and get them and have a lot of fun. It's great with kids. You know, my kids love it. We intentionally target lakes that have clear water on purpose so that we can use the camera. The only downside to this unit is it gets only like 4 hours worth of time of it being on, which isn't super long, especially if you plan to be out all day. But a good piece of equipment, definitely not a must, but something that's good to have if you can afford it. Last but not least, an ice house of some kind. So I like pop-ups. I've used the sled style pop-ups where, you know, it folds up and over. I used to have one of those and I liked it a lot, but I kind of grew out of it with my kids. I needed something a little bigger. So ultimately it comes down to whatever, again, your preference is. But these pop-ups you can find pretty cheap. You can get a little 2-man at Mills Fleet. I've seen them for $80 to $100. So you don't have to spend a lot of money for a little pop-up. They're light, they're easy to put in a sled and get out. They're pretty easy to set up nowadays. But if you prefer the flip-up style, those tend to be a little more expensive. You'll probably spend $300 or more, depending on what model you're looking at. This one right here is a 4-man. It's a little bit bigger. I found this one on sale for $230. This was the same year I bought my ice auger, and I had that little nest egg, and it was well worth the buy. You know, it's really nice to have something a little bigger with my kids to take out, or a handful of guys if we're going to be, you know, hanging out together fishing. So again, not an absolute must, but at some point you probably want to get one when you're out ice fishing because it just helps you out to stay warm, right? So one other thing that is a good tool to have at some point if you get an ice house is a little heater. You don't have to spend a lot of money on those either. This heater was about $40 to $50. Again, I saved up for it and bought it. You probably can find them used on Craigslist too. Yeah, that's a handful of good equipment that I've gotten through the years. This equipment here is about 5 years worth in the making. You know, it's replaced old equipment which I've sold and repurposed that money to buy this stuff. So, you know, tricks like that for those of us who are on a budget are what we do to be able to afford and get new things. That's what we use. Let's put it to work and see what kind of fish we can catch here in this spot. So let's get to it. I mentioned earlier that we might get some bass. And here I just swapped holes from that northern and just got myself into a good little bass here. Not that little. I bet you it's about 16 inches maybe. Put the tape measure on them, get a rough idea. Again, these aren't in season either and we're not targeting them. Yeah, I mean, I'll be conservative. He's longer than 16, but we'll give him 16. And again, caught him on that little Dave Genn special, right? The little tungsten jig tipped with spikes. And put up a great fight, lots of fun. Again, I'm targeting bluegills and crappies here in shallow water in the weeds, but these guys are in there too. Lots of fun. Where are you going, big guy? Lots of fun. Let's put him back. Ooh. Let's go get some more. The kids won't believe you unless we get it on video.
You're right.
So get on video quick. Yeah, you're doing good though.
Just go slow?
Yeah, just take it easy, and when he kind of lightens up, then kind of lift gently and reel. Oh. Ooh, look at that guy. Look at that guy. All right. Again, we're not targeting bass. We're going for bluegills. Look at that little tiny jig there. That's a bluegill jig. Bluegills and crappies here in the weed edge, but the bass are with them. We can give a quick measure and a couple quick pictures. So super duper exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
This thing is so fast.
Yeah, they're very healthy, aren't they? All this mumbo jumbo. I remember I mentioned that you can catch all kinds of different fish on this jig. I'm pan fishing. I just want to be clear about that. I'm pan fishing. Look at what I just got. 10 feet of ice on the weed edge, looking for panfish. Beautiful walleye. Beautiful walleye. Got that thing right in the snoot. Right in the snoot. On that same jig I've been using almost all day. How about that? Not a fun. I'm gonna put it right back. I'm not even measure it. It's probably close to 18. Good times. Good times. Do that so I can do a nice picture. How about that? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. So just started fishing here with my little jig, and jeez, I got a big northern pike on. So this will show you right here that you don't have to have a huge stiff rod and even all the right lures and all that stuff to catch different species. I catch so many different things on this little jig, and this guy came in. Oh my gosh, am I gonna get him? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, look at that guy. Look at that guy. Oh. Ah. Now, northern pike aren't in season, so I need to get this guy back in the water quickly. I'm just doing a quick measurement on him, and gosh, I got him right on the nose. Oh, came out super easy. So this little tiny jig right here just caught this big, I don't even know how many pounds that is. I'll hold him up one more time. Let me get my little measuring tape on him quick. Oh, he is all of 30 inches. All of 30 inches. Holy smokes. That's not an official measurement, of course, but I'm being a little conservative. He could be over 30. Anyway, here he is. 30-inch northern pike on a little crappie rig with a $30 rod combo and a little crappie jig. Ugh. Good times. Woo, big fat belly. That was fun. Wasn't expecting that. Well, thanks for joining me today on episode 2 of The Ordinary Fisherman. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me today and learning a little bit about how I got my equipment and what equipment I like to use when I ice fish. We also got into some decent fish. It was one of the bigger northerns I've caught in a while, so that was pretty exciting. You know, I mentioned it so many times in the video. We weren't targeting those fish. We went pan fishing. We were going for bluegills and crappies, and when you're chasing them in the weeds in the shallow parts of lakes, you just kind of end up getting a few of those. I don't know what it is about that little jig packed with spikes, but bigger fish seem to like it just as well as the smaller fish. So that's just the way it worked out today. My friend who joined me today had a little bit of fun too, enjoyed hanging out, and there's a good chunk of time that I didn't video while we just fished and talked some of the things we planned to talk, but the ice conditions were pretty good. Hopefully they'll stay good for just a little bit longer. As I mentioned, we're self-isolating for the coronavirus right now, and hopefully there's a few more weeks left of ice. If there is, then maybe I can get a few more shows out before open water happens, and then there's about a month and a half of figuring out what to do until the walleye opener happens, which is like Christmas Day for me. So hopefully we'll get a good show for that too, but we don't know what will happen with the coronavirus stuff in play. Minnesota is actually talking about closing lakes, so we'll see what pans out with that. If they close lakes, we'll figure something else out. If they're open, we'll be out fishing. So we'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, take a kid fishing, go out fishing yourself, use the equipment you got. Remember, there's always a fish biting somewhere. All you gotta do is find them, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on equipment to be able to catch them. Just get that lure in front of their face, and more often than not, you'll get them to bite. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Nathaniel, just your ordinary fisherman. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family. I greatly appreciate it. Until next time, we'll see you out on the water. Thanks for watching The Ordinary Fisherman. If you like what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, hit the notification so that you'll know when we're out on another adventure. We'll see you out on the water. Go fishing. Go fishing.